politics or is it our temples that's failing the faithful? Look at these visuals. An explosion in a temple in Kasaragod where 1,500 devotees were present. At least 150 have been injured, with some suffering 80% burn injuries and in the ICU as well. Why did this happen? Fire line, where the fireworks are at display, where the firecrackers are set on fire, all of that was too close to the storage space, less than 2 meters away. Flouting the rules and regulations. Worse, the required permissions were not taken according to the police. So the big questions, how was this allowed? Did all officials shut their eyes? Or were they busy sleeping? And remember, this is literally a rerun of temple tragedies. What do I mean? 2016, Putingal. Look at these visuals. If you can get those visuals on air of the Putingal blast, if we can have those visuals on air. Devastating temple tragedy. 109 people killed, over 280 injured. Accident during the early morning hours. Festivities, firecrackers that sparked an explosion at the storage space, which again was hugely close to each other. Proximity to cracker storage, a stampede as thousands of devotees panicked. Similar outlines. That's right. Those are the visuals on your screen of the Putingal disaster. Eerie similarities between what's unfolded in Kasaragod. There are several other cases, from Thrissur to Paravur, to a temple in Ernakulam, to Kasaragod and others. Rules blatantly flouted and the audacity in question. In fact, it was in 2023 that a Kerala single-judge bench said that bursting crackers isn't a necessity to please gods, according to religious texts, banning the bursting of crackers during odd hours. Overturned by a division bench that set aside the ban, but put the onus on the state government to grant permission for bursting crackers. In fact, Pinarayi Vijayan government went on to challenge this single bench stand that claimed that fireworks are not essential to temple festivities, saying fireworks have been an integral part of temple festivals and fireworks bring people together, promote secular ethos of the state. Very true also if you look at the fabric of Kerala. But why can't safety be guaranteed? The recent draft of Explosives Amendment Rules 2024 by the Centre states magazine fireworks should be at least 200 meters away from the display site from where the public views the show. There should be a gap of 100 meters between the spectators and the display. Storage of fireworks should be at least 100 meters away from the display site. But this has received a pushback from the Pinarayi Vijayan government. And to know why, one has to understand the politics around Thrissur. That's right, a lot of politics back and forth. And if we can get the visuals that really show the spectacular Thrissur, but something that's also been at the center of a lot of politics. One of the most famous temple festivals of Kerala at the Vadakunathan temple in Thrissur. Possibly for the first time, the display of fireworks, which was scheduled for wee hours last year, were held in broad daylight instead. When uncertainty loomed over the fireworks display, BJP's Thrissur Lok Sabha candidate at that time and actor Suresh Gopi dramatically emerged and held discussions with temple authorities, leading to the daylight display of fireworks. Suresh Gopi, who ultimately won in Thrissur, becoming the first elected BJP MP from Kerala, was hailed for his intervention. Well, the state police probe later found the disruptions were quote-unquote deliberate. As I said, politics and faith often aren't very far from each other. But what's at stake? So as I asked right in the beginning, is it politics or the temples failing the faithful, or is it all in between? Allow me to open this up at this point to our panelists. I'm being joined by Rahul Easwar, who's an activist, Krishan Mitro, who's a consultant disaster management, S Balan, advocate and political analyst, as well as advocate Pri Krishna Das, who's a spokesperson for BJP in Kerala. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining us. Well, Rahul Easwar, let me just straight go to you. Good evening. My first question, it must have been a nightmare in Kasaragod, but a nightmare that something that Kerala has not seen before. It's not for the first time, as it were. Rahul Easwar, as I ask the question, what is it? Who is responsible for this? Is it the temple failing the faithful? Is it the politics failing the faithful? Where do you see this?
Sneha ji, two submissions. As a Hindu right-wing activist, I believe we have a right, fundamental right to celebrate temples and the festivals the way we choose to. But at the same point of time, we are all mindful that safety should come first. As you rightly mentioned Puttingal, which is hardly 40 kilometers from my home, nearly 3 kilometers were devastated. 101 people lost their life. That's the reason why we have always called for a balance between celebrations and traditions, along with safety, security, and environmental concerns too. So we need to strike a balance. So who is responsible? Government is responsible. High courts are responsible. Whenever politics comes into picture, it becomes a tutu meme. So rather, the honorable courts should step in, give strongest of guidelines, but please don't ban anything. As a devotee, my humble request would be, don't ban anything. Please regulate it in any way you like. Diwali should be regulated. All the other temples or mosque or church thing can be regulated. But there should be a space for celebration, because these things bring people together. It's a social celebration. But yes, safety is needed. Environmental protection is needed. All the checks and balances can be right. But these festivals are the soul of our Hindu faith, and we need to cherish it and celebrate in a good way, along with safety, security, all the other measures. So that should be the right balance and middle ground we should be striving.
Rahul Easwar, let me just make this very clear. This debate is nowhere even close to the demand of banning celebrations. Forget about banning celebrations, nowhere even close to the demand of banning fireworks. So let's just keep that aside. We're not even getting into that space. That's nobody's business. That's for people who follow, for believers, for them to do it the way they want. That's just not the topic of debate. The topic of debate is this. As celebrations happen, as fireworks are at display, who is responsible for the safety? Is it the temples? Is it the governments? And have both failed? That's what we are discussing here.
We have failed as a system. There is no doubt. We have failed as a system. There is no doubt. Let us not shirk our responsibility. Let us accept. But it's a collective responsibility of the temple, of the state government, of the police, of the authorities who are supposed to give NOC. So it's a collective failure. Let us not single out the temple and blame it. Temple, along with government, along with authorities, along with the system. These are all responsible for it, because normal devotees won't know the nuances and technicalities of all these. So it's up to the state government and authorities and the system to adjust it. Yes, temple, government, system, everyone should take the responsibility and avoid these kind of things. And thankfully, unlike Puttingal, no major tragedy happened here, which led to the loss of many lives. But we should be, it's a wake-up call for all of us, and it's a collective responsibility. Let us not forget it.
S. Balan, do you want to come in at this point? Rahul Easwar making it a point that, listen, it is a collective failure. Temples are responsible, governments are responsible, the political bickering is responsible. S. Balan, one question everybody is asking, from 2016 to 2024, look at the overlap of the lapses. It's just a repeat mode, S. Balan.
Yes, what I see here, temple committee is squarely responsible for this. Government of Kerala framed rules like any other government, and the rules indicates that the storage and bursting, there must be 200 meters away. But unfortunately, the Tamil committee flouted all the rules. When lawbreakers are making mess of it, question of blaming on lawmakers is unfortunate. It is neither the duty of the lawkeeper or the lawmaker. The lawbreaker is squarely responsible. In this case, see what happened in Puttingal temple about in the year 2016. 111 lives were lost. And the state government requested for 48 crores of rupees as compensation to the victim. Unfortunate central government, BJP government failed to give a single rupee. Then comes, it's not a faith. In the history, if you see, crackers during Diwali is not happening. First time it was introduced at the time of Eid by Akbar. The founder of crackers in India was Akbar, not prior to that. This was taken by certain
No, S. Balan,
fundamentalists.
no, that's
and
not the point. S. Balan, let me come in. Let me come in and I will get Rahul Easwar to respond to you, S. Balan. But that's not my point at this point at all. S. Balan, my question, and you're quite honestly contradicting what the CPM has told in the court. Before I get in Rahul Easwar, let me just ask you a very simple question. You are saying temples were the rule breakers in this particular case. They are squarely responsible for it. If the temples broke the rules, were the law enforcers, that's the police under the state government, sleeping?
See, now SIT is constituted, the probe is on. We can't jump into the conclusion. Who is responsible? See, it's a temple committee, even small spark, they create it as a communal issue. It's a very sensitive issue. The government is afraid of taking firm actions on this. See, according to me, squarely the temple is responsible. The rules are framed. The rules
Rahul
are
Easwar,
violated,
please
what
respond.
the government can do.
Sir, with
And it
due
has
respect
to
to
be
Balan, sir,
proved.
that's very unfortunate. With due respect to Balan, sir, taking a totally one-sided stand is very unfortunate. As he himself told, the SIT is inquiring. We should wait
No,
for
it's
the
not
probe report,
one-sided.
and there should be a
No,
collective responsibility, sir. It's unfortunate to blame the temple alone. See, safety and security for
How
the
can
lives
it be
and property
collective?
belongs to the government.
No.
Government should do its job. Government should take to confidence the temple committee. What else the government is for? In a nation like India, government's basic responsibility
Okay,
is to
Rahul Easwar,
protect
just like
property.
I asked S. Balan, were the police, the law enforcers sleeping if the temple violated the rules? Rahul Easwar, I also have to ask you the question. Isn't the primary
that's what I'm
responsibility
telling.
also the
See,
temples? Where were the permissions? The permissions in this case, the police is saying was not even sought. And this is not the first such violation. There have been series of violations like this. How is a storage space kept near a fire display space just 2 meters away? And again,
And
not the
Sneha ji,
first such violation. You've had tragedies based on such violations, but it was a repeat mode.
Sneha ji, let's be honest about it. That's the reason why this is not a time for blame game. It's a time to, we have to have responsibilities and accountability at the same point of time. Remember that it's a collective job. It's a collective responsibility of either temple, church or mosque. We are a very cultural land, a spiritual land where we celebrate our gods and faith. So we need to find that sense of balance and collective.
It's reading in, please listen to me. It is reading in between the line. Lawmaker, lawkeeper and lawbreaker. Here lawmaker is the state government. They framed rules. It should
And
be
a law
200
enforcer, Mr. S. Balan.
meters away
And
from
a
the
law
place
enforcer.
of
You're missing out that
bursting
point,
of
though.
Crackers. Yeah, that is the lawkeeper. When the lawbreaker hoodwink the lawkeeper, this is what has happened. So the basic responsibility lies on the temple committee. They flout all rules and they should be punished. There must be a strong punishment, and there are several injuries. They should be booked under 304(2). See, this is not just an accident. It is a killing of the people by the person who stored the crackers.
Yes, it is killing, but the question is, how can you hold the temple alone responsible for this? Rahul Easwar, last response to you before I go to Krishan
Just one
Mitra.
comment. I believe Balan sir will next time say
then what? Why should they store it?
happened in road
Where they
because of
purchased
pothole.
it?
PW minister should be booked. This is the line of argument. Whenever there is an accident on the road because of a pothole,
You
the
don't,
PWD
please
minister
don't
should be booked.
compare.
This is the line of
Please
argument.
don't compare the accident.
This
This is not an accident.
for mass
Please
dialogue,
listen to
but
me.
not realistic,
This
sir.
is not an accident.
not realistic.
This is a deliberate intention. No, I don't find it's an
What are
accident.
you saying?
It's
Do
not
you
an
mean to
accident.
that? Do you mean to
It
say
is
temple
not
had a
an
deliberate
accident.
intention to
It
call
is
the devotees?
deliberate
Let me just get in
intention.
at this point. I think at one point
Sure.
it is very
So
important
they
to
should
remember
know.
we cannot shrug
See,
from our
they should have-
responsibilities.
they should
And I think I
know
would really
if
reinforce one
crackers
thing.
are stored
Whether it be
near
the
to the
governments
place of
or
bursting.
whether it be the temple authorities, nobody can shrug off from their responsibility. But allow me to get in at this point, Krishan Mitro. Thank you for your patience. Very good evening to you. It's been a very difficult day in parts of Kerala. Unfortunately, not the first such tragedy. Mr. Mitro, as you listen to this conversation, what do you see are the blaring, glaring flouting of rules that has happened under everybody's nose and unfortunately not for the first time?
Thank you very much for getting me on your channel. I am very, very familiar with Kerala. I spent a lot of time in the Air Force with the Navy in Kerala, and I have a fairly good experience of the civic life in Kerala. Kerala, as I understand, is the home of firecrackers. We supply firecrackers all over the country from Kerala. Kerala is known to be using firecrackers not only during Hindu festivals but also during Christian festivals. I remember those days when I was posted in Cochin. At times, we used to get irritated because we couldn't sleep because of firecrackers. Well, that be one part of the story. Now, the situation is what has happened here in during the Thayam ritual. As I understand, very briefly, Thayam ritual is something like the Shraddh that we celebrate up north. We wish luck and we wish a goodbye to our departed ones. Well, we have a tradition of celebrating with firecrackers. Coming to basic issues, I would straight away come to what Rahul said, that it is a failed system. Yes, it is a failed system. But let us not forget who is responsible. Here today, we can talk about who is responsible. We are saying the state government is responsible, the district is responsible, the taluk is responsible, the temple is responsible, or the citizens are responsible. I emphasize citizens. We have had many accidents where citizens have thronged into places where there is a limited space. Recently, there was an accident in one of the cracker shop, a firecracker shop. I think that was in Delhi Sadr Bazaar, where a shop was loaded with customers. Firecrackers started bursting from the back of the shop. Very fortunately, that people who were in the shop, they ran out and there were few casualties. Here, we see in this particular situation, the administration, please give me a little time. We must understand what has happened and we must take preventive for the future. Here, people have been allowed to come into masses, into thousands, very close to the event which was happening. Number one. Number two, the crackers storage was in a very, very close proximity of where the crackers were being burst, which was not allowed. Now, the temple authorities should have taken adequate permissions, which I understand were not taken. The police, the local administration, which was the responsibility of the local commissioner to ensure that safety precautions were taken. They were not taken very adequately. And of course, it goes up and up and up. We cannot blame the higher echelons of administration, but I would squarely blame the lower levels, lower echelons of administration for failing to comply with safety regulations. You imagine if your own kith and kin was attending that festival. Would you have allowed them to go so far forward? No. Why? Because you did not feel safe. Did you wake up at that time? You did not. The administration did not wake up at that time. We must
Right.
go into retrospective and take due precautions. There is no excuse to that.
Absolutely, Mr. Mitro.
I would fairly blame
Mr. Mitro,
the
very
local
quickly, let me get
administration,
in S. Balan.
including
S. Balan, you've heard Mr.
including
Mitro
the
speak.
temple administration.
Mr. S. Balan, you've heard Mr. Mitro speak.
See,
You may say
my
the state
response-
government is not responsible, the law enforcers are not
Yes,
responsible. Here's an expert who's saying, listen, you can't shrug off your responsibility even though you may blame the temple, and the temple authorities are equally responsible, if not more.
See, if it is legally purchased with all license, if it is stored, what he said is correct. Suppose the crackers are smuggled and without the knowledge of the authority brought in and stored near the place of bursting, then according to me, squarely the temple committee and the person who
please
procured the
allow me to
firecrackers
interrupt? Please
should
allow
be
me to interrupt.
squarely-
Please allow
Wait,
me to
please wait,
interrupt.
please wait, please
No,
wait. When you
please allow
spoke-
me to interrupt.
No,
Can you
please, please.
Can you store?
Wait.
Can
See,
you
this
store
is a lawbreak. That's
explosives
why I
without
said,
permission?
See,
How can you allow smuggling of? How can you allow smuggling
is
of
not explosive.
crackers?
sir, this is
Your
not
law
this
and
is
order
not-
has failed.
Explosive is different from. No. Explosive is different from explosive substance. This is only a firecracker. Now the whole incident took place because it was.
Sir, you are a good
cracked
politician.
near
You are
to
a
the
good
place of
politician to
storing.
twist
How
twist
you
the
are
facts.
blaming? What is twisting? See, you are coolly analyzing it without
No, I don't
understanding
agree
the
with you,
ground
sir. I
Mr.
don't agree
Balan,
with you.
one
See,
question. Mr.
somebody
Balan, one
talks-
question. Mr.
Oh,
Balan,
yes,
one
no,
I
question.
don't understand
disagree.
anything,
If-
but I'm sure you
if
understand
these
better.
crackers, fireworks,
Yes.
according to you, were smuggled, and there were thousands of people who were going to be present at this temple festivity, which is not a surprise, which was a known fact, then isn't it a further serious lapse, Mr. Balan? What you're alleging or assuming or presuming in this case? If you're assuming that these firecrackers were smuggled,
madam,
and that festivity was supposed to be having thousands of people present
No, we can't
at
jump
a
into
temple
the
which is locally
conclusion now,
very
please.
prominent, then it is a further huge
we
failure.
cannot jump. See, we can't. We can't jump into the conclusion now. That's the reason why the state government constituted sit to probe into that. Then who procured it? How it has reached that place? Whether it is as per the license or rules, or flouting the license, rules and regulations.
Mr. Balan, every time you're being
crackers were
questioned for your
brought and
presumption or
stored
your
there.
assumption, you
Who
are
is
saying don't jump to
responsible?
conclusions, but you are the one who's jumping for every conclusion. Let me very quickly get Advocate Pri Krishna Das to respond. Good evening, sir. Thank you very
I'm
much
not
for your
jumping.
patience.
See, I divide. No,
What
please,
would you
I
say to your
divide.
political opponents in the state who are saying that BJP has been politicizing fireworks, temple festivities, including what's unfolded in Trishurpuram?
Yes.
BJ, yes, madam.
For same
BJP
day,
is not
it has taken
criticizing
place
any.
in Haryana.
I'm sorry. BJP is not politicizing any
Go ahead,
temple
Mr. P. Krishna
festival or
Das.
Trishurpuram. Yes, BJP is not politicizing the Trishurpuram. The government has taken some steps about the Trishurpuram festival last time and several other years also. In Shabarimala incident also, government took some different stand government is trying to destabilize the system of temple festival, and they are trying to evade from their responsibility to keep the law and the procedures, rules and regulations followed for framed for either Puram or Payakas, etc. The district administration is responsible for the present incident. District administration, police, and the government authorities, they have the duty to fulfill the compliance of all the regulations and time barred the permissions, etc. They they are bound to do and follow the procedures. But in district administration, they are not looking to that aspects, and police authorities also lacking their duties and
Advocate P.
responsibilities.
Krishnadas, what
That
about
is the
temples? Are they responsible as well? How does the BJP look at
here,
this?
madam. Here, the issue is not related with the temple festival committees. Temple festival committees normally their laymen will lead the temple festival committee, and there they may not be aware of all the rules and regulations framed by the government from time to time. But it is the duty of the ADM and the RDO and the SHO or the concerned police officer who is responsible to look after all these the proper implementation of the
Advocate
rules.
P. Krishna
They,
Das,
if
how
they
can you
are
absolve?
responsible to
How can you? Isn't this playing politics? Rahul Easwar says that temples and everybody, including governments, are responsible for this. You are sitting in here and saying temples are not responsible. This isn't this what the left is saying? You're playing politics over this.
there is no politics, madam. This is the
He is
duty of the government
communalizing the issue.
uh, to frame the
It is
issue
clear
not on the
mindset
basis
of
of
communalizing the issue.
that is the mindset of Mr. Balan. You are trying to change the responsibility to the central government. That is your mindset. I can't accept that your mindset. You are saying that after the Pottingal incident, central government is not giving
A human
any aid
being.
to the state government. How you can say like that?
It's a
When
human
all
tragedy.
incidents happened in Kerala, how you
See,
can say
this is
like
a
that?
human
You are
tragedy. Have
politicizing the
concern
issue.
for the human being.
That is no, Mr. Balan.
It's a
I will
human
complete my
tragedy.
point.
Why you
No. I will
communalize?
complete my Mr. Balan. I will complete my point. I will complete my point. This is not the issue of the politics. This is the duty of the government official, especially the ADM and the district
But your
collector and the
point
police
is
official
communal, sir.
responsible for the
Absolutely
compliance with the
communal.
rules and regulations. Compliance of the
Okay,
rules and
hold it, hold it.
regulations by the
I can see Mr.
by the
Mitra as
temple
well as Rahul
authority.
Easwar raise their hands, but give me a
It's a
few minutes. Let me
biased
just very quickly go
mindset.
to S Balan. S Balan, the central government has come out with draft regulations. Why are you not accepting them? What are those draft regulations? Can we have those graphics up on screen
See,
so that the
even the
viewers
state-
can be reminded of it? I've explained to them in
No,
detail.
Mr.
What are the
Mr.
objections
Balan,
that you have to the draft
Mr.
regulations?
Mr.
Why is the pushback from the left government?
Madam, different governments framed rules, including the central government. Very same day it has taken place in Haryana also. Why you are not talking about that? Why only Kerala? Do you want to communalize this issue? It's a human tragedy. Who is responsible for this? Yeah, about 150 people suffered serious burn injuries. Who has to be blamed? Whether central government is going to take responsibility for that? Government of Kerala have already pointed out framed rules 200 meters away from the storage to the cracker busting area. Who has flouted that?
But Mr.
And
Balan,
ignorance of
Mr.
law
Balan,
is
let me
not
ask
an
you a point-blank
excuse.
question.
And
Actually,
the
let me just go
gentleman
to
says
Rahul
that
Easwar
we
at this
do
point.
not know
Rahul
the
Easwar,
rules.
you had your hands up. But let's do a reality check. Rahul Easwar, from Trishurpuram to temples across Kerala that do have these festivities, and by sure, we are not against those festivities of firecrackers. But are these Kerala government rules being followed? If you're talking
Sneha,
about the 200 meters, is that practically even seen in any of these temple festivals?
Yeah, Snehaji, two submissions. One, Advocate Krishna sir, being proud of Indian culture, was kind to us believers and the temples. That was very nice. And Sunilji, as we know, is a left liberal who is a bit always harsh on the Hindus. So I can understand the place where he's coming from. But we as believers should also share the responsibilities, because at the end of the day, when we go, it is our family which is going. When a temple festivity near, I am going with my family and small kids. I also, or the temple also has a responsibility. Similarly, temple, church or mosque, they have a responsibility responsibility. So it's a collective responsibility. Why don't we accept that collective responsibility? Like the expert sir who rightly pointed out, yes, ADM is responsible. People from the other spaces of authorities are responsible. See, what should be our main aim? Our main aim should be to avert a tragedy. There are rules by central government and state government that should be implemented. There is no secular or communal angle to it because this is about human lives. So we need to implement those rules. More awareness should be needed. For example, state governments can take initiatives for temples, churches, and mosques so that all these rules are implemented. Safety
Now,
precautions.
while you're talking about awareness, Rahul Easwar, the regulations that the Kerala government has, including the 200 meters between the fire line as well as the storage facility. Practically, do you see that happen in temple festivities, including the prominence? But I'm genuinely asking you because you know the reality as well.
And I'm telling you as a genuine, ordinary layman. I'm a person who regularly watches news, but even I was unaware. I knew that some distance has to be maintained, but I was unaware. That's the reason why government should take initiative, awareness actions. Government has that facilities, or the temples will cooperate. That's the reason why you should reach out to the believers, to the faithful, and not brand faithful as some kind of a communal backward people who are always bent upon making problems. Take them into confidence, reach out to them, have kind of awareness.
I'll come to Balan as well as P. Krishnadas to respond to that, but Mr. Mitro, from one finger being up, it's an entire hand being up. So please go ahead. Please make your point.
Yeah, I would first go back to Mr. Krishnadas, who is an advocate, and he says that the temple authorities were not aware of the regulations. Mr. Advocate, please tell me, what do you understand about ignorance of law? Temple authority, they are ignorant of law.
Ignorance of law.
Do they have
no
the courage?
Please listen to me. Every prudent man
So
should know.
you are saying
where to
you are
store,
defending
how
the
to
you are
store,
defending the
how
you
far
are
it should be.
defending
You are supposed to
defending.
know.
Please give me you have had your chance. You have had your chance. Now give me a chance. You have had your chance. You spoke when I did not disturb. Please let me speak
Go
now.
ahead. Go ahead.
You are saying the
Go
temple
ahead.
authorities.
No, S. Balan,
the temple authorities
Mr.
did not.
Mitro is not
No,
questioning you.
please.
Mr. Mitro is questioning
Yes, yes.
Advocate P. Krishna Das's line. So, Mr. Mitro, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would again repeat, Mr. Krishnadas, you are saying the temple authorities did not know the rules and the regulations. At the same time, Mr. Balan, he said that the center and the state keep changing the authority. The supreme authority, as far as the disaster management is concerned, is the National Disaster Management Authority. Now, National Disaster Management Authority, the policies and the SOPs, etc., are applicable down from the center to the state, to the district, to the taluk, to the panchayat. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, the district authorities? Are you sleeping? Do you know what are the disaster management authority policies for such a function when there are thousands and thousands of people gather for a celebration where there are firecrackers going on, where there is threat to life? Disaster Management Authority has the access to all that. I would say that it is
all
a
right.
total
Let me just
failure.
I'm running short of time. Very quickly, first Advocate P. Krishna Das, to your argument that the temple authorities don't know, the question being raised, what is ignorance before laws when it comes to authorities? Do you want to quickly respond to Mr. Mitro?
Mr. Mitra, sir, I am not merely denying their knowledge or something like that. I just pointed out that the temple authorities may or may not have the knowledge about the all rules and regulations, but that is the responsibility of the district administration or the police authorities to say these are the regulations
No
you have to follow.
excuse.
That was my stand in that case.
No
In
excuse.
Kerala,
No excuse.
no, that is not an excuse. I have taken that is not an excuse in my part or
Kerala is
of the
no
temple
different from
committee.
Haryana. Please don't say Kerala. Please don't keep repeating Kerala and Kerala. Kerala is India.
Listen me.
Kerala is India and Haryana is also India.
Please listen me.
We are in India.
Please listen me. Sir, please, Mithru sir, please listen me. I am not taking any advantage about the ignorance of law. I just mentioned that if the temple authorities are not aware of the rules and regulations, that is the duty of the government to say these are the rules and regulations. That is the duty of the government or the government authorities. That is what is my stand. The second aspect in temples in Kerala,
Sir, all the temple
almost all
authorities
the
are
temples in
supposed to
Kerala,
have the
not only in
disaster
Kerala, in
management
all over
plans.
the country,
All
in all
these
over the country in
authorities.
Diwali season and other season also, the people may use the crackers and they will celebrate the festivals and other temple festivals also. That is the duty of the government is restricting. Why government is restricting through rules and regulations, strict implementation of the rules and regulations? That is the duty of the police or the government authorities to restrict the the law breakers by implementing strict implementation of the rules and
You
regulations.
mean to
Mr.
say,
Balan is saying every
please,
time
please,
Mr.
please,
Balan
one
is
minute,
saying.
one
Running
minute.
short of
I
time,
request you.
S.
I
Balan, do you
request
want to
1
very
minute.
quickly come in at
It
this
is a
point?
responsibility of the police and the district
No,
and
sir,
the state.
I'm totally running short
There
of
is-
time. Let me
there
very
is-
quickly
is
get
there
S.
no
Balan to
responsibility
respond.
of the citizens?
Lawmakers made the rules. There is a thin line between the lawbreaker and the lawkeeper. The thin line, the blame should go
Temple
on the
people are not
lawbreaker.
lawbreakers.
The
Temple people
temple
are not
committee, its
lawbreakers. You are
administration,
stating like
or
that. You are
are
creating
the
an atmosphere.
lawbreakers. You
No,
can't blame
you
the
are stating that
lawkeepers. But don't
no,
blame the
you are
lawmakers.
stating that
The
temple
rules
people
are
are
correct.
lawbreakers. That is not lawbreakers. Lawbreakers are law
Squarely
implementers.
All right.
responsible. They are
They
the
are
Okay,
breaking the
I'm
lawbreakers.
law.
unfortunately
They
out
No,
of
should
they are
be
time, and
breaking the
punished.
rules.
unfortunately,
They
what's
Why the
should be
also
government
playing
punished.
out
authorities
on
are
our
They
allowing
should be
screens is also
prosecuted
partly a
for the
reason
human tragedy.
what has the
Temple
unfortunate
committee
incidents
should be
keep
blamed.
repeating. But Rahul Easwar,
Prosecuted,
let me just
sent
very
to
quickly
jail.
come into you, and if we can have the visuals of the explosions on screen. Rahul Easwar, as the back and forth continues, there are families that are in the hospital that are going to have a very grim Diwali. There are families that have had such situations earlier in the state as well. To say
Sneha
the
ji,
temple authorities would not know is unacceptable, because these are not just 3, 4, 5 people. These are thousands who come in to watch and be part of the temple festivities. Not knowing the rules is unacceptable, and neither shrugging off the responsibilities from the state.
That's also-
Rahul Easwar, as you see this, what would you say?
Just one concluding remark. As devotees, we should be mindful, we should be careful, we should moderate our festivities like this. Yes, we need to have elephants, we need to have firecrackers, but bring it to a moderation. Please spend more of this money for charity, hospital cases, or education. Let us, yes, these kind of things are very joyous for us, but along with that, there should be a sense of moderation regarding elephants, regarding firecrackers. No, rather than spending this too much money on any one thing, let us diversify and distribute so that people will be benefited more. It's a wake-up call for all of us. It's for us devotees to take initiative rather than anybody else blaming. We should take initiative of our own, like Srinarayana Guru and great leaders, spiritual leaders rightly point out. We should minimize and moderate it. Yes, there should be all these kind of pomp and glory, but we should be able to moderate and also spend for charity and other activities. I hope all these people recover very fast, and thankfully until now.
Rahul Easwar, let me just leave it at that. I think one thing which we have to be very clear about is how much should be allowed to celebrate is for devotees, for the temples, for the believers to really go ahead and decide. Charity, no charity, massive spending plus charity, whatsoever the combinations being, faith is each individual's decision, and whichever group they belong to, whatever they follow is really up to them. The point is this: where does the buck stop when it comes to the safety? And that's what we are really looking at. Temples, governments need to stop playing politics and stop turning their blind eyes. Rahul Easwar, Krishan Mitro, S Balan, as well as Advocate Pri Krishna Das, thank you very much for your time. Unfortunately, the back and forth that happened is also a grim reality check of why such incidents keep repeating. Meanwhile, we leave you with these visuals. These are not a magnificent display of fireworks. These are fireworks gone horribly wrong again and again in the thick of festivities. Festivals and the festivities going up in flame. India must not allow this anytime again. It's time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll bring you all the latest.